Yeah. Even whenever you're sitting in a seance, and a seance is just a fancy way of saying circle, but it grabs everybody's attention because it's got this mysterious connotations to it. And then again, everybody likes to watch horror. No?
Spooky maybe, but not horror.
Yeah.
Spooky, okay, spooky.
Yeah.
So, but it's our emotions that are strong within us. Because when we're born, we are impulsive creatures. We see something, we reach out and we grab it. Why do we reach out and grab it? Because we have this impulse, and this impulse is an expression of our emotions. Behaviors, your behavior is an expression of the emotion that you are experiencing at that particular time. When people are excited, they're doing this. They want everybody to know. They feel good, happy. And when they feel horrible, they're moping around. Moping around. You two are friends, right?
Mhm.
So you should be able to tell when one or the other is feeling kind of melancholy. Yeah, it's emotions. And the interesting thing about emotions is, I think I mentioned this last week with the mirror neurons. And it's the mirror neurons in us that allow us to experience something similar to what the other person is experiencing. You're watching TV. You're watching this fantastic show. And all of a sudden, you see the character run to the bathroom, and you hear this character vomiting in the toilet. You can feel that. You feel that sensation. You feel your body tends to tense a little bit, kind of mimic that. That's mirror neurons. They connect us to each other. So we are truly connected. Western culture is, I'm myself, I'm just me, individual, but we're connected no matter what we do. Yes.
Is there a way to block out people that we don't want to mirror? That we don't wish, like, okay, a neighbor I have upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to block that out. Not just the noise of them, the intense energy of sadness when it comes through. It's very difficult to process. Took me a few hours yesterday. When I woke up, I could feel it. Is there a way to block that?
Well, you can't block it, but you can tone it down.
Okay.
See, the thing is that we broadcast constantly. Our emotions are the strongest field that we broadcast. Everybody can pick up on it.
Mhm.
So what it is that we want to do is we want to kind of pull the shades or close the door on others. And one way of doing that is to visualize. Visualization is a wonderful tool. You can visualize a door and you just close the door. You can visualize a window and just close the blinds. Now, if you encounter these instances where people are probing you, and it happens, you pull as much of your energy into yourself as you can. And it makes it difficult for them to read what's going on with you. See, as a reader, I encounter people who are difficult to read. And the reason why they're difficult to read is because they're very private. And because they're private, they have this automatic I don't want to say barrier, but it's like a picket fence around them. And they keep the blinds closed, they keep the doors closed and the gates closed. But, you can't keep everything out, just like you can't keep everything in. But that's why it's like that. You're welcome. So, did you have a chance to give it a second thought?
Yes, I did. And I looked at my notes from last week too. And the part that I was most drawn to was about the cycles of nature, the cycles of life, and that everything is part, everything is part of the cycle, and nature is the best teacher. I remember that was good too. And I remember writing Jesus saw separation, Jews, Gentiles, us and them, and things happen, and it's all about them and us, and it's about taking away the them and us, and it's just us. So I thought that was very good. And history repeating itself. But there was a sense of comfort to that everything comes to its natural conclusion, and there's a comfort to that. So yes, that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah. If you're feeling crappy, well, don't worry about it, because you're not going to stay there.
Yeah.
You may be there longer than you think, but you're not going to stay there, because eventually you'll move out of it. You go down to the river, you see these little eddies in the current and everything, where everything just seems to be stuck. But if you watch, there's a little branch or a leaf there that's kind of twirling around, slowly working its way around. It may take a while, but eventually it gets back into the current. Always. Life is like that. No matter how much you resist, and there are lots of people who do not like change. Oh, change, I'm not changing. I like the good old days. Well, there's a reason why they're called the good old days, because they're behind you. And they will always be behind you. And as long as you're going through life looking behind you, you're never going to see the good days that are coming towards you. So, do the two of you have any other comments that you might like to make? All right. Then, let me see here. No, that's number 3. Number 2. Oh, okay. I guess oh, here we go. All right. Someone asked the question, did you choose this one, or did this one choose you? And this is right in the middle of your booklets. On the eventually I'll remember to number these things, but it's the last question, the bottom of the page, and then you flip it over, and this was the response that our presenter gave. We chose this one. We have been working with this one for quite a while, though not in this capacity. We had to develop this person. We had to set this person's mind at ease. We had to condition him, as he would put it, because other than that, it's disbelief. No, not his disbelief, his distrust. I could hear him. His distrust of all this. He distrusts all of this. Well, you get the gist of what's going on there.
I do.
I laughed when I read this part. It's like, oh yeah, they got Philip down pat.
I question everything. Because people I trusted have misled me. So I question everything. But what I want to bring out here is that it all appears one-sided. They chose me. Well, there's more to it than that. Because you or the medium has to be conditioned. They have to condition themselves. Now, are you familiar with Emanuel Swedenborg? Emanuel Swedenborg. Okay, I know these three are because I talked about them before. Emanuel Swedenborg lived during the, I want to say 1700s, yeah, 1700s. He was a well-respected person. He was a scientist. And as a child, his father exposed him to the minds, the philosophical and religious minds of the time, mostly the Jewish people. And he would sit in on these conversations, these philosophical conversations that these people had. His father was eventually was an archbishop, and his brother-in-law was a teacher and was also promoted to the position of bishop. Now, at that time, these titles did not necessarily imply religion, but they implied teaching, the level of instructor that they were, because the church handled most of the education at that time. So Emmanuel had been exposed to all of this. And as he became an adult, he became very interested in religion. He naturally, he was brought up in Christianity, but he also liked the Judaism, and he came across Islam and was fascinated by it. So because he was a scientist, he immersed himself in these studies. And eventually, he also learned to meditate. And eventually, these souls began to speak with him, speak through him. In fact, one of his entries was about a person who was luminous, a luminous person. Luminous purple is what this person appeared as, purple light. And he could not have experienced this without having exposed himself, or I shouldn't say exposed, having immersed himself in the study of God. So while he was immersing himself in this, he opened his mind up to wanting to understand. And because of this, those souls were able to communicate with him. And he wasn't the only one. There was, I can't remember the person's name. This was in the 50s, I think it was. This person had, if I recall, she had cancer. And she was looking for a way to deal with it, to heal from it. So she's studying all these religious healing practices. She immersed herself in it. And because she immersed herself in it, she too became a medium. You might want to say spontaneously, but she conditioned herself. She was taking all this information in, and her mind was open to it, and they began to speak through her. So there is a responsibility on the medium's part as well. They have to be open to it, because this is not like doing messages. So any comments or questions?
Totally different. How are the messages? Are the messages coming from you then?
Well, the messages come from spirit or from souls, but messages, when I do messages, I'm gazing into what I call the realm of potentiality. Because you're seeing all these possibilities. And what I see is what is typically foremost in your mind. Sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's something you push back onto the back burner. But that's what I experience. It's like seeing it. Whereas with transmediumship, they're actually, if not completely, partially into my consciousness. And because they're partially, at least minimal, okay, that's minimal. Last week they were partially in, they weren't all the way in. They are able to operate the body. So it's different from doing message work. Message work is boom, boom, boom. Trance is much longer. It takes more energy. They utilize more energy. And the harmony between the soul and myself has to be much, I don't like using the term higher, but they have to be closer together than with doing messages.
The vibrational harmony?
Vibrational harmony, resonance.
Resonance.
Think of a chord. I'm musically oriented. I played the trombone decades ago. So I understand music a little bit. So chords are typically a grouping of notes. We resonate a chord. Those souls resonate a chord. In order for them to commune with us, they have to alter their chord because it's easier for them than it is for us. We still don't fully understand how to change our chord, but those that are coming through do because they've been in that realm for a much longer time and have learned. So they adjust their resonant chord to ours to harmonize, and that's how the communication takes place. Now, with message work, they just have to get close. But with trance work, they can't just get close. They have to be much closer. Think of horseshoes. Or grenades. I think the cliche is horseshoes and grenades. You don't have to get right on the spot, just get close. And that's what message work is like. You get close. But trance is a little more involved. Does that make sense? You're welcome. So there's something on the part of the medium. It's just not all them. Now, those people who immerse themselves into the research, like I do, then those souls are able to gently direct them towards the information, I should say, that is needed. For the last few years, I've been reading a lot about the teachings from the souls through the mediums. In fact, I think I got an Allan Kardec book back there, and which is nothing but recordings of those teachings. Now, I don't know if he became the medium, but I know he was in attendance at the seances and recorded the information. There's another one, emanations from the spirit world, or teachings, emanations and teachings. I'm not sure. It's a big, long title. But anyway, that one too is about the teachings received from those souls from the other side. And then there's John Edmonds and George Dexter's spiritualism, which is a recording of their seances and the lessons brought through. And we're talking different sources. Kardec was in France, if I recall correctly. And Mary Long, I think, was in Florida. John Edmonds was up in New York. And Edmonds was, I know he was around close to the very beginning of spiritualism. And so you've got these different sources, these people that are spread out, but the underlying message is the same. Now, the words and the phrases that are used are different, but the underlying message is always the same. Be kind. Open yourself up. And believe. And there's other stuff in there. Even our book club is on Paul Selig's book, the Book of Knowing and Worth. That's a channeled writing. And it's saying the same message I've read in the other stuff. Even what's coming through with our sessions, the underlying message is still the same. We're all one. We're a brotherhood. God is this bright light that we move towards, that we aspire to be part of. And because we aspire to be part of, we move in that direction. And the way we move in that direction, we start with being kind to others. Because as you are kind to others, eventually you discover that we're all connected. They're having the same experience I had 3 years ago. So, no, we're all the same. We're all going through the same stuff, different intensities and everything and such. So now I'm hogging everything up. So it's time for me to be quiet and get some thoughts. So what are your thoughts, Beth? Does that all that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Andrea?
All makes sense.
Shay?
It all makes sense. I'm curious as to whether we're all being called, like when you did the healing on both of us.
Mm-hmm.
It was an opening to spirit, I think, that happened. Or are we all being called to certain degrees?
Everybody's being called, but not everybody hears.
Okay.
So not everybody hears. That's why we don't say, Christianity is all screwed up, because it's not. Christianity is working for a lot of people. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be here anymore. And it's wrong for us to say, well, that's, you got to do this. This is much better. It's wrong for us to say that. It's just wrong. A lot of the pagan religions, you get into this. See, religion itself has two levels. It has what everybody else knows and wants and likes, and then it has the upper stuff that these people just don't get. And it's got the esoteric versions. And in the pagan religions, the esoteric versions, guess what? They were teaching the same thing that we are receiving through our seances and that souls are bringing through. Exact same thing. The mystery schools were all about stop being impulsive and taking advantage of everybody and start reaching out and helping people. Start being kind to people because we're all one. It's not a new message. The message has been around for centuries, probably longer than that. Any thoughts, Sandy?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think the key too is when I think, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember how it was actually said, but the basics of it is that when you're ready, it will, when you're ready to take the step, everything will be there for you. And until you're ready, it won't be. So that's where you were talking about Christianity or other religions, you're where you're supposed to be. And when that isn't helping or isn't enough for a person, that's when one seeks a higher level. Maybe that's not, a different route, to the same end. That's, yeah, I wish everybody thought that way. Because that's kind. That's being kind. You know what I mean? There's so much focus on separation that it would be nice if someone just respected another person's path.
It is catching on.
I think you're right. You hear that, be kind. If you can't be anything, be kind. That's going around a lot, and hopefully it's sinking in, hopefully.
A lot of the surveys that they've done recently, and I should say that they've done in the last 5 years at least, have indicated that the fastest growing religious population is spiritual, but not religious.
Mhm.
Because people are and they ask someone, why did you leave this religion that you have been part of for so long? And the response was, because what they're teaching is no longer what I believe.
Mhm. Mhm.
So a lot of people are getting there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So any other comments or questions? Okay, let's go to, now, well, this will probably be the last one. The very front would be the second paragraph for you, Sandy. And it's probably down towards the middle. And the sentence begins with, let us first address how we communicate. Because you typically hear us come through using his voice box. When we talk to you, we talk in a different fashion. And they referenced animals. And Shay picked up on this last week. As they are speaking through me, there are other souls here that are speaking to you. And the way they speak to you is through, well, visualization is a popular thing. We are taught that where do you see yourself? Here's a good question. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? They're asking you to visualize yourself. Of course, when I was asked this question in an interview, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't know. I can't plan that far ahead. Well, that's what they're referring to. They're asking to visualize yourself 5 years from now. And what do you see? Visualization is a powerful tool. We're taught to use that as part of meditation. See, meditation is just a method. That's all it is. Meditation helps you to quiet the mind. Once you quiet the mind, then you can visualize. And when you begin to visualize, well, then you start drawing on that intention. So as you are sitting here like you are now, listening to me spout forth all this disjointed information, because I know how I think, you are these words come into your mind, and when they make connections to other ideas that you have, then these words become images. Yes? So it would make sense that they would communicate in the same fashion. And when you make those connections, you get a little bit excited. I know I do. Some people call it the chill meter, but you get a little bit excited. You go, wow, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And then you start, where did that came from? Well, that's the souls that are around you waiting for you to, she's opened up. Because when you make that connection, your mind is just open. And then they can commune to you. The way they do that is through images, your excitement, it just opens the door to possibilities. You ever notice when you're having a good time, I mean a really good time, you get all these ideas that wow, I wonder about this. Let's try it. Hey, oh wow. You ever notice that? And when you're feeling blah, you can't even figure out what you're going to have for dinner. That's how emotions work. Emotions are the fuel. So, well, what are your thoughts, Sharon?
This is good. I didn't get a chance to read it until today, but
That's fine.
but yeah, I like it. We haven't really thought about some of it. Well, we haven't really talked about the whole process before, so it is really interesting. And I kind of knew you kind of talked a little bit in the past about, well, I'm kind of here, and I'm kind of over here, and you're kind of over here, and you're not. I was referring to this other person that I knew that was trans medium, and she would just go wherever she went. We never really knew where she went. She went somewhere, and the other teacher would come in and you said, well, I'm really still right there. I'm just like right there. So, but this is a little more in detail, so it is really interesting. And she did a great job too, but that was the same teacher every time. Apparently, according to this, we don't really know who's popping in.
Yeah, there's always the question about names.
Different, right, that's why they don't have names. Her teacher did have a name. But then there were a couple of others that came through on once in a great while that were kind of more I kind of got the impression higher level mystery school type teachers. And their voices were very, very soft. They would just be almost like a whisper. Where her teacher was rather robust. With the main one, so.
They will match the person. So she was probably as well.
She never raised her voice kind of person, but she was very specific and she was, yes. And yeah, you're right. But she never ever raised, I don't ever remember her raising her voice.
Yeah. See, when it comes to names, when I first got involved in the occult, I began my journey here researching the occult, reading a lot of that. One of the first things I learned was names are utterly worthless.
Are they limiting?
It's not, well, they can be. But you notice how some people will say, I'm speaking with Jesus, or Jesus is always beside me. Because if Jesus continued on his journey, Jesus is the vibration is so high that it would be painful
Mhm,
for him to slow his vibration down
mhm.
to sidle up next to us.
I wondered about that. I hear, there are some people I know who say stuff like that, and I've always been a little suspect. Not suspect that they aren't feeling what they're feeling, but is it actually that Jesus vibration? I don't know.
It doesn't deny anything,
No,
because what do our beliefs do for us? They give us a level of expectation.
Mhm.
We feel someone next to us who inspires reverence within us. And we're taught Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or God, we're taught that. And if we feel something that that causes us to pay them homage, we're going to give them a name. We're going to call them something, so we feel good about ourselves. So, okay, yes, this is Jesus. Jesus is right next to me. It doesn't take away from their belief. And at the same time, if they do something questionable, you know this is not Jesus standing next to them.
Could it be like, I mean, is the Christ vibration, I guess you wanna call it that? Is that what they recognize? I mean,
Yeah.
is that, I mean, when we, even in Paul Selig, we, you know, somebody's talking about the Christ energy or the, you know, that's there, it's there, it's there. So I guess in a way you could say they're there, but it's, I know what you're saying. It's not like the person Jesus is standing next to me.
Exactly.
It's not that. It's something else.
Exactly. We do the labeling.
Okay.
Typically, we do the labeling.
Right.
And a lot of souls, and it's in more than one book that I've read. A lot of souls will come in and they will give you a name, even though that's not who they are, but it's a name you recognize. And because you recognize it, you will listen to them.
Makes sense.
And it was a practice done in, gosh, figure from the 16, 17. I'm hearing 17 from the 1700s. Before that, people did it all the time. The Gnostic texts, they're attributed to various apostles,
Right,
but they're not,
That's-
because they were written
right.
centuries after those apostles made their transition. Does it take away from the message? Absolutely not. So those people that say that Jesus is standing next to them, that's their message. It doesn't take away from what they believe. It strengthens what they believe. And that is more important than anything else. And that's why if someone says, Jesus is behind me all the time, you don't sit back and snicker at them, even though you're very tempted to. You try and keep a straight face and congratulate them. Encourage them. That's what we're here to do. We encourage each other. We nurture each other. Love is all about nurturing. If you don't know what love is, and believe me, I'm right there. Nurturing is the best way to describe it. Because if you love someone, you want them to do their very best, and you're going to help them do their very best. When Jesus said to love your enemies, had nothing to do with smacking them around. It has everything to do with, okay, what is it that you want? Let me help you accomplish this. That's the idea. That's the idea. And then I turn that into portable sermon, so I better shut up. So, Shay, what are your thoughts?
I'm blown away. I'm so happy to be here with you all. That is so great.
Great, thank you, we're happy to have you. I love having you. I know, me too. It's great. Great.
So, Sandy, are you ready? Your thoughts collected? I always catch
Yeah,
Sandy in the
oh,
middle.
yes. Oh,
So what
yes.
are your thoughts?
Well, I, I just had a couple thoughts when you were speaking about the fact that people feel like Jesus is right behind them. My feeling is it's not a physical manifestation. It's the it's the teaching for one thing, and the assurance that is in the Bible about, I think he says, I am with you even to the close of the age. So I get that in that context, they think the physical spirit is actually there. But it, like you said, the message, it doesn't matter. The message is the same. So I get it. I get it. So that, I guess that was pretty much my thoughts about that. And I respect that, it's all about the message and the interpretation, I guess, of the message. That's the most important thing to me. Mhm.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly. When Jesus was said to walk this plane, they said, "What? A carpenter? Get away from me."
Mhm.
The lowly carpenter. Or what was the other one? Bethlehem. Nothing good comes out of Bethlehem.
The projects.
Or maybe it was Nazareth. Maybe it was Nazareth. Nothing good comes out of it. Yeah, and it's in there. You see, people said that, so. But yeah, and pay more attention to the message and not the messenger.
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts, Andrea?
I'm just soaking it all in. Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, it's been decades since I've been anywhere on a Sunday morning, like a church service. And so it's very interesting to kind of just hear, because my church is out in nature, just being at one.
Yeah, but when it's raining,
It's just interesting being around other people and hearing this conversation, and yeah, I'm liking it. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. How do you like the way we do things? Since you're new here, I like to get good feedback, make sure I'm doing things right or where I need to tweak it.
I like that you share profound thoughts and wisdom, and then you open it up for input from the others. And I like that. It's a good flow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Beth, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's just so nice to be in a place where, things make sense. Coming from a background where things didn't make sense,
Mhm.
and finding my spot.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, this makes sense, okay. And being able to learn, I know like lately, since I have the new cat, I've been trying to learn the cat's language.
Oh, you got a new cat?
Yeah, well, Wolfie died, so.
Yes, I didn't
The
know.
day I put him down, I went.
Oh, you did, okay, good, good.
And my other cats, I had them with me so long, but it wasn't until like the pandemic that I actually was able to start hearing them. That I actually was able to pick up on the mental images they would send me. And sometimes, and actually hearing words from them, they were very spiritual cats, or they were so tuned into me, or I was tuned into them. So I'm trying to tune into this new one and learning her ways. I've only had, this is only the beginning of the second month, so we're learning each other. But I know when I'm working with her, I've got all sorts of spirit entities in my house. And, you know, sometimes when you get into a bed or get out of bed, mattress creaks. Well, I'm in my chair in the living room. She's sprawled out on the floor in front of me. I'm hearing the bed creak twice. So it's like, I bet you that bed is full of cats. And they're jumping up and jumping down.
Probably. Yeah, good old time.
I'm watching her
Mm-hmm,
watch whatever spirit entities
mm-hmm,
are there, because I used to watch the other cats do that too. So I'm watching her and trying to
mhm,
focus in
mhm,
on her when she does that, but,
mhm.
so I really haven't been focusing on my stuff, my guides necessarily.
Mhm,
This is a little side route I'm on,
mhm.
little byway, taking a scenic route. I'm off the super highway, I'm taking the scenic route. But that's been fun, but when I recognize or see an entity in my house, and it's full. I always ask for names, I'm getting up asking for names, because I don't get them. I'll just say, thank you for being here, or I see you. Just to acknowledge them, you know, and they go on their merry way, I don't know where they go, they're just in and out.
Well,
And I enjoy that. I never feel lonely. It's like, there's always somebody there. Or something, there's something there. I just gotta tune into it. And it just really makes me feel happy. I feel complete, or more complete, I should say.
something to keep in mind. All those souls or spirits that you feel in your house, they are not necessarily people.
And well, I know a bunch of them are cats. Cats.
Well, not
Cats.
necessarily cats either.
Really?
Yes.
You can get dogs,
Well,
squirrels?
this was my experience. You know, I had Belle made her transition, and then I had that black kitten that somebody doused in flea stuff that passed. So as I'm comforting the kitten, I'm wondering to myself, okay, so do they have anybody waiting for them or guide them? So I closed my eyes and I put myself into that state, and there is a huge circle of animals, rabbits, squirrels, dogs, animals. They're all just waiting.
My grandma always used to say that the animals had a group soul. That was her words for it, because we asked her one time, well, does the dog, you know, our pet or whatever, and we all have souls, but she said animals have a group soul, not exactly, that kind of goes to what you said, where they're all there. Now, I don't know if every species has a group, or if they are all in a group as every species together. I don't know how that works. That's a good question for somebody that knows. You know, maybe your teachers.
So keep it in mind as we get closer.
Yes.
So, any last thoughts? Okay, and I will leave you and thank you for sharing your thoughts, ideas, and participating. It's so wonderful.